ਵੈਸਟਰਨ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਣਸੀ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਹਿੰਸਾ ਦੇ ਮਾਮਲੇ ਦੀ ਜਾਂਚ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਲੰਡਨ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਖੁਲਾਸਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਮਾਮਲਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੀਤੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੌਰਾਨ 30 ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਵੱਧ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਅਜਿਹੀ ਹਿੰਸਾ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਹੋਏ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸਕੂਲ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦੀ ਪੁਸ਼ਟੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਹੋਈ ਸੈਕਸੂਅਲ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਦੀਆਂ 4 ਰਸਮੀ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤਾਂ ਮਿਲੀਆਂ ਸਨ ਤੇ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਉੱਤੇ ਲਾਏ ਗਏ ਵਾਧੂ ਦੋਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਜਾਂਚ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ।
It's actually so upsetting. It's unbelievable. Mostly just shocked.
Honestly, it's pretty scary. Like, I live right at the end of the street, and although I'm not in the residence, I can only imagine like what those girls and any other victims were going through.
I mean, we just started and all these kids are in first year, so I can't imagine how they're feeling knowing that like this is their first week, you know, moving away from home, going to school, and all this stuff happens.
We are really deeply concerned and troubled by what we're seeing on social media and are working very hard to confirm and clarify that information. But to date, we have very little information that we've received. These cases are not connected in any way or connected to what we're seeing on social media.
Issues around allegations of drugging and sexual assault, though that's of a degree of the highest order and frankly unacceptable anywhere.
I've been very vocal critiquing the university about its COVID protocols. We didn't need to be in a situation where students thought it was just normal. It was just regular times to go out and party because we're not prepared. We haven't talked about what does it look like to come back as a society that's been inside for a year and a half.
At the end of the day, I hope they're dealt with accordingly. You know, there should be some severe punishment. Obviously, they shouldn't be living here because, you know, there's people like all the girls here, they want to feel safe.
10 ਸਤੰਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 13 ਸਤੰਬਰ ਤੱਕ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਨੌਰਥ ਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਰੀ ਮਾਤਰਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ ਪੋਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲਿਆ। ਕਰੋਨਾ ਕਾਲ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਅਹਿਤਿਆਤ ਵਰਤਣ ਲਈ ਲੋਕ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ ਵੋਟਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇਸ ਵੋਟਿੰਗ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟਸ ਮਿਲੇ ਹਨ।
I'm also like a high-risk population, so I try to take as many precautions as I can with COVID, solely because of COVID-19. Just felt like the safest way in person to reduce being around as many people as possible and still making it out to vote.
There are fewer polling stations. People don't want to be lined up, especially under COVID conditions. It has been very close. It's been difficult to sort of anticipate which direction it's going to go or even where the momentum is, because that seems to be flipping back and forth. Whether some of the NDP voters think Aaron O'Toole has a chance of actually forming government and decide to go to the Liberals because the Liberals represent something closer to their cherished goals than the Conservatives do.
It was so easy, I don't see why I wouldn't do it in the future. Safe, people are respecting the space requirements, sanitizer, one-use pencils. They're running a really great operation.
ਇੱਕ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਰਵੇਖਣ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ 1 ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਦੇ ਲਿਬਰਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਓਟੂਲ ਦੀ ਅਗਵਾਈ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵਾਂ ਦਰਮਿਆਨ ਕਾਂਟੇ ਦੀ ਟੱਕਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਲੈਜਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕਰਵਾਏ ਗਏ ਇੱਕ ਸਰਵੇਖਣ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੈਅਸ਼ੁਦਾ ਵੋਟਰਾਂ ਦਾ 32% ਸਮਰਥਨ ਹਾਸਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਜਦਕਿ NDP 20% ਸਮਰਥਨ ਨਾਲ ਤੀਜੀ ਥਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ।
At the start of the campaign, we talked about Aaron O'Toole as having a real problem when it came to just familiarity with Canadian voters. You know, as a new leader of a political party who hasn't been through an election before, during this pandemic, all the usual mechanisms for introducing yourself to the Canadian voters were basically denied Aaron O'Toole. So the election campaign has really opened up that opportunity for people to get their first impression of Aaron O'Toole, and so far, more people have been favorably impressed than have not been impressed. Also, I think what we're seeing here is a bit of a consolidation of the vote on the right behind the Conservatives as people who are more conservative inclined in terms of their political beliefs start believing that the Conservatives actually might be able to beat the Liberal Party this time. One of the things that really stands out in taking a look at the demographic predilections of the Canadian population, and by that I mean just the demographic groups that people sit in. Normally we see pretty big differences in terms of, you know, age, gender, things of that nature. We're not really seeing that in this instance. It seems that the people are more split based on their ideas than necessarily their demography at the moment. So you see very close races, for example, between the Liberals, the NDP, and the Conservatives among younger Canadians. Very close races among older Canadians. Women and men, there usually is a fairly big gender gap. Both the Conservatives and Liberals are doing relatively equally among men and women. So some of those things that we used to see in the past are not really happening in this election, and it is a very strange election in many ways. And this is one of those things that really stands out as being different from what we've seen before. The only thing that can happen, significant event that's still within the confines of this election campaign that can affect momentum, will be the debate. But the truth is that debates generally don't have that big an impact. I mean, we can all point back to things that happened, say, for example, in the French language debate, how it damaged Andrew Scheer's campaign. You know, we can point back to Brian Mulroney in 1984 against John Turner. But these are fairly isolated things. Most times debates just kind of come and go and reinforce impressions that people already have. So unless the Liberals are able to do something really dramatic, they're basically running out of time. The only other thing that they can do is, advertise like crazy. But the truth is,
ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਟਿਨ ਇਲੀਅਟ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ 10 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਡੋਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਗਵਾਈਆਂ ਹਨ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਪਾਸਪੋਰਟ ਪ੍ਰਣਾਲੀ 22 ਸਤੰਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਖੁਰਾਕ ਲੈਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ 38% ਵਧੀ ਹੈ।
Thank you to the over 10 million Ontarians who have already received both doses. 2 weeks ago, we announced another measure to increase vaccination rates and protect Ontarians by requiring proof of vaccination to access certain settings beginning September 22nd. Already, we are seeing the impact, with over 90,000 first doses administered in the week following our announcement to require proof of vaccination, an increase of 29% from the previous week. To ensure individuals, families, and business know what to expect, today we are sharing new materials and guidance to prepare them for these changes and help address any questions. And together with our health system partners, we are continuing our last mile strategy to reach even more Ontarians who have yet to receive their first or second dose. We are using every tool available to make it easier and more convenient to receive the vaccine and help address hesitancy. Physicians are calling their unvaccinated patients to answer their questions. Our GoVax bus continues to visit schools, malls, and community and sporting events, and over 550 vaccination clinics are underway or planned in or nearby elementary schools, high schools, and colleges and universities. We know some people may have questions about whether the vaccine is safe for youth and pregnant individuals and whether one dose is good enough instead of 2. I want to be very clear. All Health Canada approved vaccines are safe, effective, and significantly reduce your risk of serious illness from COVID-19. If you have questions, please reach out to your healthcare provider who can walk you through your specific situation and the benefits of getting vaccinated. So please, if you haven't received your first or second dose, sign up today. And in advance of September 22nd, I encourage everyone to print or download your vaccination receipt from the provincial booking portal as soon as possible.
ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦੇ ਸਿਹਤ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਐਂਡਰੀਅਨ ਡਿਕਸ ਨੇ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਹਤ ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਕਰਾਰ ਰੱਖਣ ਲਈ ਅਤੇ ਭਰਤੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ $6.38 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਤੱਕ ਸਹਾਇਤਾ ਪ੍ਰਦਾਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ।
Two sets of announcements that have one continuing goal, and that's to improve healthcare services in the Northern Health Authority and in the interior and the north of British Columbia, and indeed on Vancouver Island, with respect to emergency health services. So we're going to talk about both announcements today. The first is about the Northern Health Authority and addresses the challenges, the ongoing challenges of recruitment and retention of healthcare workers in the North. I want to acknowledge the work that's gone into this, particularly from the Northern Health Authority. It's part of a broader announcement we'll be making in the fall for a broader a human resources plan for healthcare going into the future. But these are actions, interim actions that are taking place this year to help support and address issues in the north. I want to acknowledge the many people who have contributed to this at the Northern Health Authority, first of all, but also my MLA colleagues, Nathan Cullen and Jennifer Rice, who have contributed significantly to this in raising issues and pointing to concerns, and my colleagues, the Leader of the Opposition, Shirley Bond, and other colleagues in the north, such as Dan Davies from Fort St. John, who have also contributed to this, as well as mayors, such as Mayor Ackerman and others in the north who have contributed to this. They've raised these issues, we've talked about the importance of them, and today we're taking action that reflects our collective efforts to make things better for people in northern BC. Today we're announcing $6.38 million for programs to retain and recruit more healthcare workers in the Northern Health Authorities by making the north a desirable and accessible place for health professionals to live and work. To address this, actions are being taken at every level in Northern Health, starting immediately with the launch of a comprehensive healthcare worker rural retention program that is targeted towards priority communities and occupations.
ਐਨਵਾਇਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਦੱਖਣੀ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆਉਣ ਦੀ ਚੇਤਾਵਨੀ ਜਾਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਵਾਵਰੋਲੇ ਆਉਣ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਚੇਤਾਵਨੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਮੌਸਮ ਵਿਗਿਆਨੀ ਨਤਾਸ਼ਾ ਰਾਮ ਸਹਾਏ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਰੀਜਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਲਡ ਵਰੰਟ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ GTA ਦੇ ਉੱਤਰ ਵੱਲ ਕਾਟੇਜ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਸਮੇਤ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਸੰਭਾਵਨਾਵਾਂ ਵੱਧ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ। ਦੁਪਹਿਰ ਸਮੇਂ ਗੜੇਮਾਰੀ ਹੋਣ ਦੀ ਸੰਭਾਵਨਾ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਗਟਾਈ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਰਾਤ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਦੇ ਦੱਖਣ ਵੱਲ ਵਧਣ ਨਾਲ GTA ਵਿੱਚ ਗਰਮੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਮੀ ਆਵੇਗੀ, ਪਰ ਮੀਂਹ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੇਜ਼ ਹਵਾਵਾਂ ਚੱਲ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਸਾਊਥ GTA ਵਿੱਚ 70 ਤੋਂ 90 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਘੰਟੇ ਤੱਕ ਤੇਜ਼ ਹਵਾਵਾਂ ਚੱਲਣ ਤੇ ਉੱਤਰੀ GTA ਵਿੱਚ 100 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਘੰਟੇ ਦੀ ਰਫ਼ਤਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਹਵਾਵਾਂ ਚੱਲਣ ਦੀ ਸੰਭਾਵਨਾ ਹੈ।